What's up guys, Kaidom here, and this is the integration video of ALS v4 with the new Jigsaw inventory system. So this is the normal ALS v4 from the Epic launcher. So if you're interested in the replicated version, it is available on ALS Discord. I have yet to play with that version, but it should essentially be the same thing. But if you're having issues, just let me know and I might make another video using that version specifically. So what we're going to do here is we're going to either migrate ALS to Jigsaw or Jigsaw to ALS. So since Jigsaw doesn't use any custom channels in terms of collision, and I'm not sure if ALS does, so we're just gonna be safe here and migrate Jigsaw inventory to ALS here. So this is the Jigsaw inventory system here. So what we're gonna do here is simply right click on JS inventory here, the root folder, and just select migrate here. So click on migrate here. It's gonna let us know of the folders that are going to be migrated. We don't care since we're going to migrate everything here. So I'm gonna find my folder here. So we're going to find the folder where ALS is located at. So in my case, it's this. So I'm going to select the content folder here, and I'm going to click on select folder, and it should essentially copy all the files from the Jigsaw inventory. So at this point, we're done with this folder here, but we can keep it open just in case, or project, I should say. But we'll keep it open just in case we need it for something. So now in the ALS project, we now have the JS folder here. So let's go to demo here and open the MP refined here. Okay, so this is our map here. So let's go ahead and play and see if something is not working. Of course, the inputs are not working here in our case, but that is not an issue here because we want ALS to take care of that. But opening the inventory works just fine. So everything should be the same here. So closing here, very important, no errors, so we're fine here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use, once again, the inheritance method. So we'll make the Jigsaw inventory character a child of ALS main character. So let's go ahead and start with that, but maybe we should leave the character last because, of course, that's where most of our work is going to be. So let's go ahead and do perhaps parent the player controller first. So we'll go to world settings here. So if you can't see this window here or any of these windows here, you can always go to window here and just select world settings there. So here we see that we are using the BP game mode here. So this BP game mode is empty. We don't care about that. So we'll just use the ALS game mode here. And of course we want to use the BPJ character and also the BP MP player controller here. That's pretty much it. These two classes are the only things that we need to reparent. So we'll open this BP MP player controller. Go click on the browse icon here and open that. And as you can see here, we have there's not a lot of things going on in here, but what we need to do here is going to class settings here, and parent class is going to be our ALS here. In this case, I'm not sure how many controllers they have here, so that's going to be probably the ALS, not the AI, so ALS player controller here. And once we do that, we should be fine here. But of course, this is very important. Some people reported that their inputs no longer work when they reparent. That's normal because these inputs right here, they have an option here in the settings called consume input, and also override parent binding. So consume input, as you can see there, prevents actors with low priority from handling this input. In this case, I think the ALS would be the low priority here. So the child has higher priority than the parent, I think. I'm not sure. So override parent binding here. Once again, if the parent ALS, in this case, is using M as well, so if you check this, then the parent class will no longer be able to do that. So let's go ahead and actually just disable these override and consume on both of these here. So let's see if we have any other inputs here. It doesn't look like it, so that's pretty much it here. We're done. So if you have any begin play here or things like that, as we're going to see with the character, you should always right click add call to parent. So you call the parent first, and then you do whatever you need. But in this case, we don't have anything here except for the construction script here, which I'm going to right click and add a call to the parent here. And I don't think I have anything else here. So I think that's pretty much it. So we're pretty much done with the player controller, as you can see. So let's now go to the game mode here. So we can either parent the game mode, but like I said, since we don't have anything here, we might as well just use their own game mode here. So in this case, I think they're using ALS game mode SP. So for the default pawn here, it's going to be the BP jig character. For the player controller is going to be, of course, the BP MP player controller, which inherits from the ALS player controller. And so in this case, all we need now is the character. So we'll open the character here. Go ahead and open that. And as you can see, now it's complaining about these inputs. But like I said, we don't care about these inputs because ALS is going to handle all of it. So let's go ahead and click on each of them. So we have these normal inputs. I'm going to select all of them and just do delete. Let's go ahead and compile and see now. No errors, as you can see. So that's the only warning that we had there. Okay, so before we parent anything, I'm going to go to the begin play here, and you should have this by default. But if you don't, just right click here and add call to parent, and make sure that the begin play is calling the parent begin play here. Let's see if we have an event tick here. So event tick, no we don't. So in this case, we only need to do it for the construction script, and which we already have it here. But if you don't, once again, right click and call the construction script here. So what we're going to do right now is make sure that inputs inside this class are not blocking the ALS parent class here. So we're going to start with the switch to first person and third person here. So in this case, we're using it with V. I'm not sure what ALS uses. We'll see that later. Okay, so we want to keep this part right here because when we switch to first person, we want to change the set owner no see, so the character doesn't see those meshes. Otherwise, they'll be colliding with the, or like overlapping with the camera. But in this case here, we'll keep this part right now and go back to this later. But we will definitely be removing the V there because we don't need that. But we'll go back to this later. Alright, so movements here, we already removed that, so let's go ahead and delete this graph. So animation and hotbar here. So we're using 1, 2, 3, 4, and X here for equipping things to the character here. But I know that ALS is using 1 and 2 for the camera mode. So in this case, what we're going to do here is we're going to select all of them here and just simply disable the consume input, as well as the override parent binding here for the time being, until of course you decide what kind of input you want to use. Same thing here, select both of them, disable those, and let's see if we have anything else. We don't. So show hide inventory here, we're using the tab. So once again, disable those options right there. Same thing for P and F. Now, of course, you need to set your inputs correctly so that each input is like specific for something. You don't want ALS to be using tab for something and then and Jigsaw like using tab for opening the inventory. You probably want to change those inputs a little bit. So here, show hide, we already took care of that. Here, we don't have any inputs. Shooting and reloading, once again, I'm just going to go ahead and select all these inputs right here. And just disable those right there, and save and reload here, or like load, I guess. So once again, we're using TL. These are temporary inputs. So, but for the time being, we're just gonna go ahead and do that in case we need to test the functionality. All right. So now that we've done that, make sure the construction script, everything is calling the parent class. So what we're gonna do here is click on class settings. Now always before doing anything big, like reparenting like a big class to another big class, in this case we shouldn't have any issues, but just in case, always file save all in case you crash or something. But we're gonna go ahead and click on class settings here, parent class, and just use the it's not mannequin, is it? So it is the ALS animan character. So once we do that, go ahead and well, it's done now, but we should compile and make sure that we're not that we don't have any errors here. So far we're not done yet, so I'm going to go to the viewport here, and we know that ALS doesn't use camera components, so I'm going to select the first person camera and the third person and spring arm, oops, and delete those, of course. So going to delete here, compile, and now we have an issue here. So what is this? This is the trace to world. So these errors, of course, we're trying to figure out if we are in first or third person. In this case, we can just get view mode here and do equal to first person or third person, of course. So in this case, we want to check out the first person here. There you go. So let's go ahead and copy this just in case we need it somewhere else. And indeed we do it here. So there you go. So just of course replace that with this. So let's go ahead and take care of our switch to first person to third person here. So we need to figure out how ALS is doing that, and I think they're doing it with the let's see. Okay, so they're doing it with this interface here, the BPI set view mode right here. So this is a interface event. So we need to override that. So once again, what's the name here? So set view mode here. So here we'll look for a BPI set view mode there. So this is the interface that is called to set the view mode here, but very important, we need to right click and do the parent call first. And then we can decide what to do next. So from here, we simply want to check once again with the get view mode variable here and check what is the current view mode here. So if it's the first person here, we're going to plug that there and we should be fine here. So that is pretty much everything we need here. So now we're ready to set the mesh and the animation blueprint here. So we're going to select the main mesh here and select the, instead of the SK mannequin here, we're going to select the mannequin, the anim man, I should say. So the anim man there, and that's what we need to set there. So for the anim class here, we're going to use the ALS anim BP. Switch to the here and do compile and see how that looks. Alright, so it looks fine so far. We can try now, but first let's go ahead and fix the C key, make sure that it's not used, and it is used here in the crafting here. So we use C to show the crafting widget here, but ALS is using this input for changing the camera. So we need to either use another key or disable the consume here, but in this case it doesn't make sense to use both for the same thing, so we're gonna go ahead and use another key here. So let's use H, I guess. So I'm gonna go use H there. Once again, make sure that it's not, just in case ALS is using it as well, who knows. So as you can see, we have an issue in terms of the camera here, and C does nothing, it's not switching the camera. And so if you have this issue, it is probably because of the camera manager not sit inside the player controller. So let's go back to our player controller class here and see what we can do here. So want to go to class settings here and make sure that everything is matching the parent class here. So right off the bat, we see here that player camera manager is different from the parent class, and the way you can tell is by this yellow arrow here. It is telling you that if we hover there, it says reset to default. Now default means the value that the parent class is currently at. So if we click there, as you can see, it's going to set it to the ALS player camera manager, but you can either do that or do it manually here. So if we go ahead and play here, of course, same issue, C is not doing anything. So once again, now we need to go to the character. So I'm doing it here step by step, so that if you face similar issues, you should essentially know what to do. Alright, so inside the BPJig character here, we need to go to class defaults here, and of course do the same thing here. So of course expand everything here, make sure that it's that if we of course need to reset anything. So let's take a look here. I don't think we need to reset anything here. These are all ALS values here. Less mode, movement data. Okay, so these are all ALS. Anything that is purely ALS, of course, we're not going to touch there because there's nothing to reset. So camera, I don't care about that. Okay, so we see here that we have some values here to reset. Okay, pawn, use controller rotation yaw here. I'm going to go ahead and click there to reset it. For the AI controller class, go ahead and set that to ALS AI controller. Now this is not important for this main character, but we'll do that for the AI later. So let's see here, expand that, nothing to be reset there, and expand that. Okay, so we have the tags here. This is very important. As we've seen previously with the old integration here, you need to have the tags set here, ALS character here. For some reason they did it this way. So make sure tags ALS character. Let's go ahead and compile here. Alright, so let's go ahead and give it a try now, and as you can see, it works just fine. The weapon there is just a socket issue, and yeah, so let's test the first person and third person. Okay, so if you press once, it goes to left and right. Okay, so I guess you need to hold, there you go. Okay, so if you hold C, it changes to first person and third person here. Let's go ahead and that. So let's see if I can interact with objects here. As you can see, I can do that just fine. Okay, and of course tab doesn't close the inventory, so we probably need to change that to something else, or simply not consume the input, I guess. So for opening and closing inventory here, it's not going to work with tab because this is consumed by their player controller. So we can either use another key, or if you need tab here, you can just simply go to the player controller here and go to the ALS player controller here. Go ahead and open that, and as you can see, they're using tab and VT here. So if you can either remove these or simply click on or like disable consume input. So if we disable consume input, let's see if it actually works. Okay, so it works, but of course, as you can see on the right side there, it works for both for the inventory and whatever feature they have here to show the HUD here. So I suggest just using another key for opening and closing inventory. Let's see if they're using E for anything here. Yep, they're using it for here. So as you can see, they're using all sort of inputs here. So you probably just want to get rid of those inputs eventually and just use whatever you need. But if you're wondering why your key is not working, just check here in ALS player controller and make sure it's not used here, or at least disable the consume inputs there. And also if you are using it, make sure that you're not consuming it here, and maybe you're not overriding the parent binding there. So let's go ahead and fix the sockets here. So I'm going to go to the jig folder here, demo, and then assets, and then a mannequin character mesh, and then I'm going to open the mesh here and just simply look for all the sockets right here. So I'm going to hold control and select all of them here. There you go, and of course here as well, all of these sockets right here, you can just simply select them like that. So I think that's pretty much it. Yep, so we're gonna right click here and do copy selected sockets, then go back to the player character here, select the mesh, and then click on the browse icon here for the animan, and then simply click on the skeleton there and right click here and do paste sockets. Now there are two options here, paste sockets and paste sockets to selected bone. You don't want the second one, you want the first one. So this one is going to paste those sockets to the equivalent bone name here. So we're going to select the first one, paste sockets, and now we should have those sockets right there. So let's go ahead and now play and see if we are able to equip stuff. So as you can see, the pistol is already there. We don't have like the equip montage yet, but let's go ahead and equip a backpack, boots. Now of course you might get these like meshes here to not look perfect here, but it's pretty normal. Like the mannequin here of the ALS is different from the UE4 default mannequin, so you can either like change the size, or like eventually you're gonna have to use your own clothes here for the equipment here. So for the time it's not a big deal here. So let's go ahead and pick up the weapons here. So everything should be working just fine. Of course we don't have the switch weapons, but we have the inventory working just fine, as you can see. Alright, so let's go ahead and take care of switching the weapons here. So it should be inside the animation here, and we're using this macro right here to, of course, play a certain montage. And of course here, this is the montage we're going to play here. So that's going to be inside the weapon itself. So we're going to find one of these weapons right here and see whatever montage they're playing, and then we're going to retarget that montage to the ALS mannequin here. So we're going to go to the details here and see if we have access to the settings. So we have the equip montage and reload. So I'm going to start with the equip montage here. They're all using the same thing here. So this is the equip montage, as you can see. Just switches the weapon there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a folder here. So I'm going to make a new folder here, and I'm just going to call it retargeted animation, I guess. So we're going to use this folder to retarget our animation there. So we have 3 montages here. So we have the equip montage, reload, and reload shotgun. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. Retarget anim asset, click there, and we should have access here to the ALS mannequin there. Click on the change here. I'm going to select that folder right there. Then click on retarget, and this should retarget the montages as well as their animations. So once again here, and there you go. So go ahead and save all. So let's see if it works. So we're going to start with the equip 2 here. So it works just fine. So that's our equip here, and if you're using a different montage, make sure you have this notify right here. So if you don't have it, you can just right click here, add notify, montage notify, and just put it where you think the weapon should be changed. In our case here. So ALS uses some custom overlay montage states here. So we're going to select that here. So if we go to this section here, let's see if I can expand that. Okay. So montage here, we have the default group equipment. This is the slot that we're using by default in the Jigsaw character. And of course here you can select that. So we're going to change this from equipment to, so let's see, it depends on what we're doing here. So we can maybe try pelvis. So we have legs, pelvis, spine. So let's go ahead and select spine there. And of course, this is a weird bug here in UE4. Whenever you change the slot, it just resets the animation. But that is not an issue here, so just reopen it, as you can see. Okay, so we're going to blend from the spine here. So the layering override group, spine. Alright, so now we need to go to the pistol here and open that blueprint. Since we have the pistol equipped by default, go into the weapon switch montage here and select the, maybe we should have renamed them though. So going back to the content browser here. So I'm going to add ALS here, there to all of them. So select and then F2 ALS underscore. So now we know that that's ALS underscore there. So switch montage here is going to be ALS underscore. So ALS underscore MP equip montage. There you go. So that's going to be used for the equipping, or like changing to the pistol here. And for the reloading here, it's going to be ALS MP reload, and that's what we're going to use there. And of course, currently, if you're playing a montage, you can't change the weapon here. So we're going to have to disable that check here because for some reason ALS is playing a montage all the time. So we're going here to the this macro here, and we're going to. So here we're getting the current montage, and if it's valid, of course, we can't change the weapon because we're already like doing some montage here. So we can bypass this for now just to make sure that the animation works, but later you're gonna have to check what is the current montage, and of course depending on that we have to make sure, or like see if we are allowed to change the weapon or not. But for the time, if I press 3, as you can see, it kind of works, but I guess that spine blend is not perfect here. Let's go ahead and do it while running here. So if I'm running here, okay, I mean it's not bad. But you can play with these overlay states here, so you can add more than one if you need. So spine, it did work, but it's gonna come down to what kind of animation you're using. Maybe it just doesn't look great with this one. Maybe another montage would look better. So we're gonna do the same thing here for the reload once again. So I'm gonna open this and of course go to the default here instead of the equipment here. We're gonna select the spine there, and the same here for the shotgun reload here. Gonna click here, new slot or slot name here, and do the spine here. Okay, and of course you need to open the these weapons here. So we're going to right click, browse to asset, we have these four weapons there, so I'm gonna open that, and this is the, so it's already set here, so we just have to do it on the other the shotgun here. So it's gonna be ALS. Right, so for reload, it's gonna be ALS, MP reload, shotgun. Of course, these are temporary animations. You should definitely try to replace them. So I just found out something very important about montages for ALS. Like I'm not very experienced with ALS. Like I never used it, to be honest. So it turns out that if you want to blend the montage correctly, you have to select all the layered options for that specific montage. For example, for a reload, you would need to select the spine, the arm L, and arm R, or even potentially the pelvis as well. So here I just added an input here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and play the reload animation there. So for the reload animation, look at this. It doesn't look that great, right? So that's because we're only blending from the spine. So I thought it would like kind of blend from the spine then upwards, but it seems like it's not the case. So I have to, of course, select that reload montage, and I would have to select all the blend-in options here. So not only the spine, but you also need to select the other one. So I'm going to click here and do duplicate, and then select here the arm L, and then duplicate once again and select the arm R. So you have to select all of the options, all the blend-in options that you might need here. So spine, arm L, and arm R. So now, if we go ahead and press the middle mouse, as you can see, that looks way better. And of course, that's because we're selecting all of the options. So here we're gonna do the same thing here. So for the shotgun here, we have here what we have here. We have the spine. Okay, so we're gonna duplicate this twice. Duplicate, and then here we're gonna select the arm L and arm R. So there you go. That should look way better now. And finally, I think the equip montage here, we have to do the same thing here. So that's going to be spine. Of course, here, once again, we're going to select the arm L and arm R. So now we should be able to switch to our pistol just fine. And as you can see, that works really well. So let's go ahead and take care of the state here. So, all right, so this is the active weapon here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to convert this into a rep notify, and that is under the settings here. Instead of replicate, it's going to be a rep notify here. And once you do that, you should have a on rep active weapon here. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to grab the active weapon here, and then of course set the overlay. So set overlay state, which is this one. So this lets you select like the state that you want. So it's going to be like rifle, pistol, whatever. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hook that there and do a select node there. And the select node, once we hook this here, is going to give us all the options here. All we care about here is none is going to be default. Primary is going to be the rifle here. Secondary is going to be also the rifle. For the pistol, of course, we need the pistol one-handed or two-handed, depends on what you want. Let's just make it two-handed here. So all we care about here is primary, secondary. We'll use the rifle state, and for the pistol, it's going to be use the pistol one-hand or two-hand, depending on what you want to do here. So let's go ahead and give it a try here, and I should now be able to switch to my pistol and have the state there, and that looks. Yep, so that's correct. And of course, I also have the right click to aim with the pistol. All right, seems everything is working. And of course, this right here, this is just the socket, so you need to rotate the pistol socket a little bit there. So we can simply go to the ALS Locomotion here folder here and look for the pistol. See if we can find any animation for the pistol here. So I need this one, I think. So there you go. So this is what we need here. So this is a kind of multi-animation asset. So it just takes the frame that you want. So I think this is the one that we need. So what you need to do here is look for the pistol here. So that's going to be pistol socket right there. You want to right click there and do add preview asset, and then look for our pistol here. That's going to be that. And as you can see, it's not rotated correctly. So all you need to do here is just basically rotate it to whatever you need here. You can disable the snapping here to like get a more accurate rotation there. You can also modify the location, maybe slightly there. Yeah, something like this is fine. Maybe it's like kind of looking up there a little bit. Okay, so let's try this. Let's go ahead and play, and then change with the pistol, and then aim. Yeah, looks pretty normal here. Change to first person. Yep, looks pretty normal here. Of course, you can modify however you want. So another issue here is if we press M, I guess. So they have this. They switch to the normal mannequin, but as you can see, it's not playing any animation there, and that is because you need to go to this right here. Once again, we actually forgot to clear all the settings there, so we need to select the mesh here, the main mesh, and then of course once again expand everything here. So we're going to reset this right there. So I'm going to expand everything here. So under rendering here, they have the override material, so let's go ahead and click there. So under skeletal mesh here, we're going to reset that as well, but of course very important here for the this one right here, we need to do always tick pose and refresh bones right there. So let's see if everything else is correct here. Seems great, but of course we also have to reset the movement component there. So now if I press M, I should have my whatever feature this is working just fine. So of course you need to do the same thing here for the character movement. So it looks like we have quite a bit of settings here to reset here, so we're gonna go ahead and do that here. Make sure always expand here, so you have this arrow right here. You can click that one right there, that one as well. Here you go. Go ahead and expand that. We haven't tried crouching just yet, so see if that works. See if everything is correct here. Okay, so this is for the crouching here. Go ahead and reset all this. I guess I can just click here, resets everything. Okay, looks like we're pretty good there. Collision. All right, so it looks like we're pretty good there. So let's go ahead and play here, and crouch is with Alt. There you go. All right, so finally we're going to check if vaulting is working here. So I'm gonna load their map here. So let me find it here. So levels, I guess I'll select this one. So this is where we have some boxes there we can use, or some meshes. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that, and I'm going to add a player start here. So I guess we should also handle the AI later. So I'm gonna go ahead and to place actors here and do like a player start. Just gonna add that there. Make sure that the for the player start here, make sure that the scale here is 1, 1, 1. Okay, very important. So world settings here. So we already have that. So the ALS game mode here. We have the BB Jig character HUD. I guess we don't need a HUD. And we have the BB multiplayer controller. So let's go ahead and play here. All right. So let's see if we can actually climb here. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some issue with collision. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Alright, so that was definitely a collision issue there. So what we need to do here is go to Jigsaw inventory, demo, and then pickups here. So we're going to start with the skeletal here. So you're going to have to do it for everything here, or at least mainly for the parent classes. So we have the BP skeletal main pickup class here. So what you need to do here is select the skeletal mesh component there and look for a collision. And then make sure that the climbable here is set to ignore. And then select that box collision as well and do the same thing. So climbable needs to be set to ignore here in both the skeletal mesh and box. Very important. So we're going to do the same thing here for firearm. Open the firearm. Select the skeletal mesh here. Look for a collision there and make sure that it's ignored. And the same thing for box here. Set to ignore as well. Make sure that the pistol that we're testing with right now is correct. So I'm gonna look for, let's see if I can search for climbable. I can't. All right, so select for a collision there and make sure that this is set to false, to ignore, and for the box here, ignore as well. And of course you want to do the same thing for static meshes as well. So we're gonna go to static mesh here, and for the main pickup class here, we're gonna select that static mesh there, collision, and make sure that it ignores climbable like that. All right, so now we should be able to vault over that object right there. All right, so let's see if it's there you go. So it works perfectly. And yeah, so it was just a collision issue there. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to set these AI to like use the ALS mannequin here, or like the ALS blueprint. So we're going here, make sure that we're not doing anything in begin play, or let's see if we have any begin play here. No, we don't. Alright, so it's gonna be the construction script here. Alright, so we're calling the parent function right there, so that's good. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is simply go to class settings here and do the same thing here. So it's gonna be the ALS animan character right there. So it's going to compile. Yep, no issues right there. So I'm gonna go to class defaults once again, very important, and try to reset every value that we find here. So here we go. So this AI controller class has to be the ALS AI controller, and the tag as well, I think. Yep, so let's go ahead and reset that. So that's pretty much everything for the class defaults. I'm going to select the mesh now, and we're going to reset that, and this as well. And I'm not sure this time, I don't think we need to set this always to pose and refresh bones, but if you're having issues with this, just set it here. But for me, for optimization purposes, I think always tick pose is better here. So I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, so let's go ahead and change the mesh here. So it's going to be the animan here. And as for the animation blueprint here, it's going to be the ALS anim BP. Okay, so we're going to select the character and movement component there, and then we're going to reset all these values right there. Alright, so now we just need to set the state for this AI. So this one is using a rifle right there. So we're going to go ahead and change the state there. So if I just look for state there, I should have not a stand. That should be the overlay state right there. So we're going to select the rifle. There you go. And this guy is using a shotgun, so I guess we can just simply do the same thing there. Class defaults, overlay, state there, rifle. Alright, so let's go ahead and give it a try here. And okay, so they have two rifles there. I guess that's it with the ALS. Like, I think depending on the overlay state, the AI equips a certain weapon. So I guess that's fine. Yeah, so they're looking at me and yeah, and moving everything. So so for the equipped weapon to the AI here, so here we have it set by default to this weapon right here. So you can either use this or use their default option. I'm not sure how you could like change the mesh of the AI, but in this case, I think if we want to get rid of that that rifle there, I think we can do it in begin play here. So let's see. Not on begin play. So I'm gonna right click there. Let's just see if it works here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set the set skeletal mesh to nothing, and here set static mesh to nothing as well. So let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm gonna play here, and yep, it works just fine. So now they have the this guy has the shotgun, and that one has the rifle. So this is just a temporary solution. I'm not sure how their held object feature works. Haven't played with the ALS too much, so see how you can change that in the main parent class. So let's go ahead and check out if we can loot the AI here. So I'm gonna go to the shooting here and just bypass this montage check here. So okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Here it was just checking if we're like playing some montage, like maybe the reload montage or whatever. But in this case, we probably just need to add a variable here to check if we're reloading or not. But for the time being, we're just going to do it this way to test. Alright, so let's see if we can shoot the AI and loot, of course, loot the AI. So, alright, there we go. Okay, so that which is going through the ground there. That is probably the way the ragdoll is enabled in the ALS there. So we can loot the AI just fine there. Yep. All right. So for that one, the ragdoll there, I'm not sure how they're like. It's kind of behaving differently from the normal character. With the normal UE4 mannequin, the ragdoll works just fine. If you have similar issues, just move this widget right here to the capsule, like there. So of course, when the mesh kind of goes through the floor for some reason, but it's not, visually. So in that case, just move the widget to the capsule and it should be fine. But anyway, we can load the AI just fine. So I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial. If you have any questions or issues, let me know in the comments below. Or if there's something that I forgot to cover, just let me know and maybe I'll do like a second part. So that's gonna do it for this tutorial. So until next time, take care. See you later. Goodbye.